What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. It's time for us to get into NXT TakeOver New Orleans talk. We're going to break down everything that happened on the show, our thoughts about the matches and everything else in the meantime, what we liked, what we didn't like, and blah, 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 all the other kind of stuff that we normally do here. And as far as the people that are going to be doing that, well, I'm your host as always, Tony Mango, and joining me on this edition, we've got Callum Wiggins.
What's up, everybody?
Robert DeFelice.
What up, what up?
And you may remember him from many, many, many moons ago, Braden Mayhew.
Certainly feels good to be back, Tony, I must say.
I am going to disagree with you on that one because I have done so many goddamn podcasts that it's not good to be back on the podcast. No, I'm kidding, of course. I love doing the podcast more than I do writing the articles. So this is fun. Later, when I have to do 2 articles based off of this, I'll get a little bit frustrated. But at the very least, this was a damn good event, and that's going to be so much fun to talk about. And we're just going to start things off the way that we normally start off, the very beginning of the night, the pre-show. Unfortunately, we have to start with a negative. The pre-show, for those who didn't watch it, it was hosted by Charlie Caruso, who looked fucking phenomenal at that Hall of Fame, I have to say. Jesus. You know, if anybody's going to stand out at the Hall of Fame, Charlie just, pow.
He was looking good.
She wins the Hall of Fame for me. We also had Sam Roberts, who, he had a really funny part of the night where, I forget exactly what he had said verbatim, but he was saying something about, like, you know, this card's going to be really great and whatever, and I'm just, man, I can't wait to see it and whatever. It was really kind of sad. And a newcomer to the broadcast team, former NFL player Pat McAfee, who anybody who's followed enough of this stuff knows I do not follow football. I have no idea who Pat McAfee is. But the one thing I garnered from this is he is a fan because he was marking out constantly. This guy, I mean, he was energetic. And he had a lot of, you know, like chutzpah or whatever you want to pizzazz to him. And he wasn't all that bad of a speaker for the most part, but he really just kind of stumbled around every once in a while where it was just kind of like, who was it that he was talking about? He was talking to somebody, it was like an Aleister Black or somebody, and he's just sort of like, hey, it's Pat McAfee, NFL player, I'm a big fan, and, you know, whatever. And he did that like multiple times and stuff, and he was like a little kid, kind of caught in the midst of everything, which I thought was pretty funny. Didn't like it all that much. The pre-show is the pre-show. It always sucks, and especially when it comes to NXT takeovers, they never do anything but talk. So
I don't know, man.
Nothing.
This one was pretty memorable because that dude was a meme machine for me. He's talking about Shayna Baszler, and he keeps saying tap, nap, or crap. He keeps saying or crap, and they had to correct him, and he's like, well, if I was in that chokehold, I'd probably crap. Like, and then he must have done something with Adam Cole at some point in his indie career, because he's like, hey, Adam, it's me, Pat McAfee. I cost you your match that one time. Yeah. I got a mic now and a headset, and I'm more important than you now. And by the way, you're going on first. What do you think about that? Yeah.
It was very strange. Very strange. But if you missed it, you really didn't miss anything. The thing that you missed the most, though, as far as like the most awkward things, they did not know how to end that Candice LeRae segment.
Oh, no, they didn't. They were like, yeah, Charlie Caruso kind of seemed like she was trying to force sadness, and Candice is just like looking down, looking sad. She's like, come on, wrap it up. Let's go.
Yeah, she looked bored more than anything, and it almost kind of felt like Candice was supposed to be, I don't know, saying something and they were waiting for her to say it, or Charlie was supposed to be setting her up for something, and it was very awkward, and you could tell that it was just sort of like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do?
Okay, go home.
Look up, look to the left, look down, look sad, look happy. Charlie, just say, see you later. Kind of thing. It was very, very strange. But it is what it is. It's pre-show. which turns us into the actual start of the night. And the, lights are out. Fans are all chanting NXT. You start hearing a little bit of like, and I'm like, okay. Then this music starts playing, and I'm thinking to myself, did they change somebody's theme? Who the fuck is coming out? And then there's a band on the stage, Cane Hill.
Well, I think you missed it because they did announce that Cane Hill would be opening the show.
They did, but I'm just so tired, and like I've been keeping track of so many things that I completely forgot about that aspect to it. So, I mean, I don't know who Cane Hill is. Like, I knew that, like, as soon as they started playing and stuff, and I started to realize, like, that's what was going on. It was like, oh, okay, that's that Cane Hill band or whatever. But I don't follow bands. I don't even follow bands that I would like, let alone, I'm so mad at everything. I'm just angry. Like, that kind of thing.
I personally prefer Cane Valley instead of Cane Hill, but that's just me.
I was waiting for somebody to do it, and it's got to be Kane or something.
By God, that's got to be Kane.
Cypress Hill. Cypress Hill, I'm looking at you. Is this your orchestra?
They sell propane and propane accessories.
Did anybody like this?
It was
I
okay.
like the style of the music. Like, I don't think the performance was all that good. It reminded me of when Saliva opened WrestleMania 18, and like they just kind of played the montage on the Titantron, but it was all really like low on the audio on this show, and you couldn't really hear them all that well. And they're trying to show the opening package, and it came across a little weird, but different way, better than Kid Rock. Not gonna complain.
You get it out of the way in like 4 minutes in the opening segment. I'm pretty much happy with it. You can just, as long as it's not stretched out or right bang in the middle of a show, then I'm usually quite happy with a musical performance, even if
Like
it does
Kid Rock.
suck.
Yeah, it was kind of short and sweet, so that's a benefit.
I think it clocked in at 6 minutes, which is like, that's fine. And that's actually, it was 8:06 when I looked at like the time itself, so you got to factor in a minute or so of them just waiting for the NXT chance to die down and stuff like that. So yeah, 5-minute thing. It's not offensive, even though I think that the music sucked. It's not my jam. But we all have different tastes, and I was talking to Awesome Piano Man about the WrestleMania set for tomorrow. He was like, so what do you think? And I was like, I know what they're going for, and it works for what they're going for, but I don't like it because it's not something I like. So if you like it, it's great. If you don't like it, it looks weird,
I don't like it personally. It looks way too playful, and it's way too, hey, remember that time we were in New Orleans, and it's not enough WrestleMania, and it's too much New Orleans, and I don't like it.
But I mean, that's the kind of thing where it comes to like the band stuff. Like, this was the theme for it. It's not something where they just decided to add a random musical performance in the middle of nowhere for the sake of it. Like, it's, if they would have just done, I don't know, say you pick a random ass band. I don't even know who fucking is popular now. Cardi B, for instance, she's somebody.
Pick a random ass band. Hey, Cardi B.
Yeah, I don't know. I heard that name before, and she's, I guess, like the train wreck of the month or something. And, if they would have just had her come out and be like, so she's somebody, and like, let's have her perform so we can get on some media coverage, then it would have been more annoying. But it's the theme for the event. Triple H clearly loves this type of music and everything, and if you like the band, if you like the music or whatever, then it's cool for you. I didn't like it, but it was over pretty quick, so it was fine. And the fact that they did that little video package and stuff on top made it a little bit easier too, because if it's just stare at them perform, like what I kind of think is going to happen with Kid Rock.
I don't think they're doing Kid Rock. I feel kind of confident that they might not be doing it, thank God.
Didn't they announce it?
Did they? Oh, God, did they?
I thought that they did. Do you guys know? I don't know. I thought that they had announced Chloe by Halle and Elias and Kid Rock as all having musical performances.
Okay.
Maybe not. Maybe they,
If they haven't paid any attention to it.
Yeah. Well, it'd be better if he does that than if he goes out there and starts talking politics, at the very least.
He's going to body slam Democrats, damn it.
But anyway, that led into the first match of the night, which is actually one of the reasons why it was a good time to do that musical performance there, was because we didn't really have much of a video package for the North American Championship because we don't have feuds necessarily going on. It's just, here's 6 guys, we got a new title, this is going to be awesome. And good way to kind of usher that in, and we get EC3, Killian, Dain, Lars, Sullivan, Adam Cole, Velveteen Dream, and Ricochet coming out. The North American Championship was on the line in a ladder match. God damn, this is a good match.
Oh my gosh. I think it stole the show, to be honest.
Oh.
If it didn't, it's the number 2 match of the night. And that's saying a lot because the other match that would have been on that is so fucking high up. Like, both this and the other match we'll talk about later on are already on my list for match of the year.
Absolutely. That might have been the best multi-man ladder match I've seen since maybe the first Money in the Bank.
It was crazy.
It's fantastic.
In a show which had like so much, like all the other matches were kind of based on a lot of good storytelling. It was just really good start of the show, just a match where it was just people throwing each other into ladders and everything else. It was just a complete spot fest, but it was brilliantly done.
One of the things that I had pointed out, I was talking to my friend, you guys might remember him, Urban, I mention him once in a while, and he said something about, he was like, so like, what are your predictions for Mania tomorrow? And I was basically just kind of like, wait until fucking tomorrow, dude, I'll see you tomorrow, like that kind of thing. And he said about NXT, and he's like, I've never seen a minute of NXT, and I was just like, dude, you're missing out so much. This match itself that's on right now is worth watching already. And he's like, like, what do you think and whatever. And I was like, dude, they just had a segment where the fans were chanting, throw him back, because the 2 biggest dudes in the match were tossing the one of the smaller guys around. And the announcers said, King Kong meet Godzilla. This is what you're missing out on, man. Like,
there were so many spots in that match, specifically when Sullivan threw, I believe it was EC3 through Velveteen Dream, or vice versa, Velveteen Dream through EC3. I said, okay, Cole's winning the match right now. And then Cole got driven by Killian Dain through Ricochet. It was just so much was happening. And at any point, it could have ended and still been a 5-star match. And they kept going. And it was so good. And real quick, loved Velveteen Dream's gear. My God.
That was another thing I needed to add to my list of the end of the year awards. I was like, oh shit, I don't have anybody written down for best clothing of the year. I was like, all right, I gotta add him down.
But I don't know if you guys
Velveteen Dream had a couple really good spots in this match. He had that massive elbow drop off that really tall ladder.
Oh, man.
I think it was on Lars Sullivan, I believe, right?
Yeah, it was him.
That ladder, that elbow drop.
Yeah, it was the fact that he stood on he stood right on the top of it, and you could just see oh my god, just one misstep or anything, and he's just going like not just forwards but backwards. Like,
you could see the panic on his face too. He was just kind of like, shit.
And then he also did the rolling Death Valley driver on Ricochet, which nearly broke both of them in half. It's like, wow, this is crazy.
They got up and did more. They did more after that. That match was so good.
For the fans to be able to chant, please don't die, about 3/4 of the way through the match, and you still, not even just anybody in the match, but those people in particular are still doing spots. And I don't see anything about news reports about anybody getting injured or anything like that.
Oh no.
That is so phenomenal. And everybody in this match at some point, they did something that made me just boost them up so much more. Like, Velveteen Dream is a guy that as soon as he popped up on Tough Enough, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I like this guy. I think he's got a lot of upside. If they don't pick him for Tough Enough, they better sign him. So happy to see that they signed him. And he's been proving himself more and more and more lately. And this match in particular, at the end of it, I was just like, he's a fucking ring general and he's 22?
What?
Is that what they said that he was? He's 22?
Yeah, 22. Yeah.
Like,
oh my
Jesus,
God.
dude, I can call this guy a kid now that I'm 30. And he is the type of person who is, like, commandeering the other people in the match more than anybody else. And being able to do things safe and being able to, like, there was that part with the rolling Death Valley driver where Ricochet he was like moving the ladder around too much. And you can see that Velveteen Dream was like, oh, nope, we got to move the ladder around this way. That's the safer way and whatever. And I'm like, this guy's fucking amazing. And he's not even the only one that's good in the match, too. That's the thing. It's like Ricochet bouncing around like a lunatic and stuff.
Like his first spot, that running shooting star press off the top rope, right out to the floor. And I believe it was on Killian, Dain, and Lars Sullivan. He took out the two biggest guys in the match. Crazy spot.
Within like 45 seconds of the match. And this match, of course, the only thing I have to criticize this match for is before they literally did one single move, the fans were chanting, "This is awesome." And I was sitting there going, oh my God, don't tell me that they're going to have like their expectations too high and this is going to like not turn out to be as good. And then the fans are going to crap all over it and stuff. And within a minute, Ricochet's doing that. And I'm like, nah, never mind. All right. This is going to be great.
I love the spot like in the mid. I don't know if it was near the middle, but it was Adam Cole doing his super kick party, which obviously they used the phrase super kick party again to steal from the Young Bucks, but they don't mind that because it's WWE. And every single sell from the super kick was amazing. It wasn't just so much the fact that it was hitting people with super kick all the time. It was like Velveteen Dream leant back completely far and Ricochet's sell from jumping from a springboard into it. It was just, people were like selling their arse off in this entire match. It was incredible.
Adam Cole did 5 consecutive super kicks that were better than any super kick that Dolph Ziggler has done in a year.
Hard to argue. Love me some Adam Cole.
I am a giant fucking Dolph Ziggler fan, and I think that Adam Cole's a little bit overrated, but I have to call it the way it is and give credit where it's due. Those super kicks were great. And I labeled it Super Kick City ? In my notes. Not Super Kick Party, but same thing, you know. And it's right next to Suplex City.
Walked up the steps with a ladder, threw it at the rest of the guys. Then came in with the ladder, put it around his neck, and just started wailing on everybody. This match was so fucking good.
And EC3, he's pulling like, there's a great part at the very beginning where Sullivan and Dain they're cleaning house and everything, and EC3's just like, yeah, you two fucking fight now. And then they're like, all right, we're gonna kick your ass. And he's just like, oh shit, you know. He played his part to a T. Adam Cole doing his shit. He over as fuck tonight. More than probably almost anybody, potentially maybe Gargano more than him. But
the crowd was like chanting "Fight Forever" towards the end of it, and I was saying, well, I hope they don't, because there will be a death at some point if they do that.
And Mauro Ranallo got in a sweet Infinity War reference on commentary.
I loved that, the Infinity War, and this is like the Infinity War of NXT, but it's not for the Infinity Stones. It's who's got the stones to do this, whatever. And I'm like, yes. And then he's, and there goes Thanos climbing up and whatever. Deadshot Daiquiri, by the way, leaving a comment on our predictions right now since we don't have this video up yet. He says, I watched it, I'm blown the hell away. Damn right, man. We're going to, keep running this down, obviously, because that's the point of this whole podcast and stuff. But, yeah, fight forever. Please don't die. Throw him back. This is awesome. The crowd clearly just so invested in this, and every reason to be, because I mean, EC3 doing his stuff, Adam Cole doing his stuff, Velveteen Dream proving how fucking great he is, Ricochet living up to the hype, and even Lars Sullivan and Killian Dain, man. Those two could have easily just been the boring powerhouse guys that hold up the ladder for other people, and instead, you got Killian Dain doing Vader bombs and stuff, and
they're the two biggest guys in the match. Lars Sullivan did the freak accident to Killian Dain off of a ladder. Like, what the fuck?
If I could recall, there was only one botch I remember seeing, and that was Ricochet jumping off onto Lars Sullivan. But that was one of those things where it's just like, well, no wonder. I mean, they're jumping at a weird angle and stuff. It's going to happen. But it still looked like it was pretty good.
I did say those ladders were a bit beat to shit as well, because it was like kind of hard to stand on them, because they would look so crooked because so many people had landed on them throughout the entire match.
Mm-hmm. This was just so fucking good, and credit where it's due, man. I did not think that Adam Cole was going to win this.
I am so mad that I had him as my number 2 and not my number 1. I marked the fuck out when Adam Cole won.
And the one great thing that this match did was, if you want to make a championship seem important, what better way than the first match being contested for it? People are going to remember this bout.
And not
that
even a
champion.
scenario where somebody won through any kind of like dubious means, or it was like put on a weak champion or whatever. You got 6 really strong contenders, and they fight for it like they fucking won it. How good is that?
Yeah, this was Adam Cole's like coming out party. I mean, he's obviously been in NXT for a while now, but he never got anything that was like really big or tangible. He was kind of just in the background when he should have been competing for most people would expect to be fighting for the World Championship. Now he's got a title to himself. Now he's got a chance to be a prominent part in NXT as he should be. And as we'll talk about later on, there seems to be a lot of movement going on in the Undisputed Era. So
this is the worst thing for me to have a reaction to. But when you said this is Adam Cole's coming out party, the first thing that popped in my mind was Adam Cole, Gaby. It's terrible. So Adam Cole, he wins this, and immediately I go, shit, I'm getting these predictions wrong. Yeah, I figured that's gonna have something to do with the tag title later on, and we'll get to that when we get to that. But yeah, this started off in a way that I thought to myself, I don't know if this is gonna be a good thing or a bad thing for this card, because if they started off this damn well, what if they can't follow it up? Well, the next thing we see is we got Shayna Baszler and Ember Moon, and we have another musical performance, and Ember Moon, I know that Robert's going to disagree with me on this, she looked drunk as fuck to me. The way that she was dancing around, she reminded me of the girl at a party who's blitzed off of her mind and just going like, this is my song. Oh, I just love this. Just somebody dance with me. Like, kind of thing. Just twisting around and, kind of like a, I don't know, hippie at Woodstock or something like that. Just being like, can't you just feel the music? That's why my name is Ember Moon. Like, I'm in, what's that fucking thing that's going around where people are like, oh, the moon is in such and such or whatever. I don't know. Not like a blue moon, or it's some kind of phrase.
Strawberry moon?
Nah, it's some kind of the phase for a lunar cycle or whatever like that. I don't know. Point being, the hippie Ember Moon coming out, and did not like the theme this time around, this rendition.
So I didn't know that Lizzie Hale sung her theme song.
So who is Lizzie Hale?
Go ahead, Cal.
I was gonna say I don't think she does, considering how she sung that version of it.
Yeah, it was super weird to me, because then Kane Hale jumped in, and I was like, all right, this is weird, but I was cool watching Ember dance, so I didn't mind it.
So, wait, who is Lizzie Hale though? Like, is she like an actual thing?
Yeah, she's the lead singer of this group Hailstorm, and she's kind of like one of the main rock front women, and I know she's friends with Jericho. I don't know if that's how she got on this, but I just thought it was cool to see her. It was different.
So Ember Moon's theme is Free the Flame, featuring Leslie Roy.
Yeah, that was not, nope.
Oh,
so interesting.
That makes a little bit of sense then. Yeah, it didn't come off really all that well to me. But again, maybe you liked it, maybe you didn't. It's subjective. Tell me to fuck off. I'm sure you're going to anyway.
I just thought it was weird because she's singing and then Kane Hill just like jumped in as she's walking to the ring. It's like, oh, that's different. Okay.
Well, the match itself,
way better than I expected.
A little bit awkward a couple times. Not bad.
What'd you think of the shoulder post spot where like
popping her
working on her
shoulder
arm,
back in?
So
I like that.
What's her face? Shayna Baszler had to pop her shoulder back in by ramming herself into the ring post. I thought that was cool.
That was actually one of my favorite parts about it. I like that. Good little storytelling element to it. And Shayna Baszler's tough. She pops her shoulder back in, wins the title. I like that. Couple little awkward spots, but like it wasn't anything to be like complaining about or anything. Like I thought it was fine.
Yeah, it was okay. I think that it would have been better if they put the title on her back at the previous takeover. They have her lose just to win here. Wouldn't have mattered more. the first time she had a title match. I don't know.
No, because Ronda Rousey wasn't in the crowd to celebrate.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Which they were missing Marina. She just never shows up. Her husband's there. Her 3 other horsewomen are there. Actually, Ric Flair tweeted out something last night and said like Ronda Rousey could have been a horseman. That was a little strange.
Jasmine Duke, I hope she's joining the company too, man. That'd be cool. I hope we really get all 4 of them as credible wrestlers.
You got to assume with Shafir being kind of a part of the company. I mean, her husband's part of it, so she's kind of like by proxy. Then the other 2, like Duke's got to be at least a little bit of peer pressure, just being like, "Come on, join the crowd," that kind of thing.
There were aspects of this match that I liked even more than the ladder match. Obviously, the ladder match is a big spot fest going through all the ladders and the high risk moves, whereas this was more of a storytelling piece. But if you're someone that likes to look for the attention to detail in matches, then this is a perfect example for you of Ember turning the tables on Shayna by attacking the shoulder in the same way that she'd attacked her in the past. Shayna using the ring post to undislocate her shoulder, and like the reversal out of the Eclipse, and then even when she had the choke on, she was grabbing hold of her hair in order to, because she couldn't use the other arm because the arm was too beaten up, so she was grabbing her own hair to keep hold of the choke. Like all those little details, they're just bits that people will miss on the first time they view it, but when they watch it back and without if they watch it back separately without the context of the ladder match that went before it, which sapped a lot of the energy out of the crowd immediately, then they'll look back and think this was like a lot better than I gave it credit for initially.
Possibly. I mean, I'm probably not going to go back and check it out a second time, but I liked it enough that I kind of wouldn't mind seeing another one of these. We got to see some kind of title match between the 2 again in the future if they're going to do something like the standard rematch clause. But I don't know if I want to wait until Chicago's the next one, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know if I want to wait until Chicago, even though it's only like 2 months away or so. But if they do it on NXT, like, cool, I'll be tuning in. Well, I mean, I'm going to watch it anyway.
Do you think she gets called up in the Superstar Shakeup Ember Moon?
I don't think so. Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, I don't think yet. I do agree with what Braden said, though, that I think it would have been a better match if Shayna had been the champion going into it. It just felt like Ember was not so much in control of this match, but felt a little bit more self-assured about like fighting Baszler, and I think it would have made a bit more of an impact if the first time they fought, she was completely unprepared for Baszler and lost the title. And this time she was more self-assured, but still ended up losing instead of winning. So that was my one main criticism with the way the story's been going at the moment.
So I kind of want to do something that I like doing when I think about it. I didn't think about it when it came to the North Americans. We'll backtrack to that in a minute. But as far as the women's championship goes, we got it on Baszler now. Who do you guys want to be the next champion? Because we just got a new champion. It's the best time as any to be like, I'm going to look forward to 6 months from now when this changes and stuff. And then, 6 months from now when we get a new champion or whatever it might be, then we look back and we go, oh, that's funny. I would have wanted this person instead. I'm leaning more towards either Kairi Sane or Candice LeRae. But we do have that other second annual Mae Young Classic now. And maybe there's going to be somebody in the mix there that I'm not too familiar with that I want more.
I think for sure NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, 5? Ends with Candice and Johnny as the NXT and NXT Women's Champions.
Johnny's going to win it?
I think, no. Candice beats Shayna and Johnny beats likely Aleister Black.
I'd probably go with Candice, but if I've always had an interest in seeing Nikki Cross become the women's champion, because I think she's always been kind of like the other person who's always good to have a feud with over the title, but never actually wins it. So I'd be I'd like to see her win it at one point, but I think that's probably unlikely at this point.
Yeah, I think that ship has sailed.
Brady, what about you? Who's your go-to?
I kind of have become a big fan of Kairi Sane. I'd like to see her get in the mix at some point and get a nice push, but I don't know how long it's going to take for that to happen because Shayna's obviously going to have her run. Ember Moon's got a rematch. That program's probably going to take us to the next takeover. So are we talking like a good while after this event, or how long are you?
I mean, we're just talking next champion. Who's the person you
next
think
champion in general? So
Okay,
yeah. I'd like to see Kairi Sane win the belt at some point. Doesn't really matter when, but yeah. So.
I don't know if there's going to be somebody that kind of takes me by surprise and makes me throw everybody else out the window. Because like when it came down to Jazzy Gabert, I was not expecting her to be somebody that I would have enjoyed. And maybe if she's like healthy and stuff, and they bring her back, like I'd be kind of cool with her maybe taking out Shayna, or it's a weird scenario. But if we go with just the people that are on the roster now, like I can't back Dakota Kai more than Kairi or Candice, and I can't back a heel because it wouldn't make as much sense, So it's not like Bianca Belair is going to win it or whatever. But I don't know. I don't know if I would pick between Candice and Kairi.
So
Maybe
I think,
Kairi.
and I hope she gets signed. Nicole Savoy from the first Mae Young Classic has history with Baszler, and she, to me, is the most well-rounded female wrestler that isn't signed with WWE right now. And I hope she does get signed after the second Mae Young Classic.
I don't remember really liking Savoy. If that's who I'm thinking of. I know I really liked Mercedes Martinez. I'm really shocked
Also
that they
very
didn't
good.
sign her. And I know I was surprised with Piper Niven, and Toni Storm was really good, so I mean, like there's potential. But to backtrack to the North American one, Adam Cole, he wins the championship there, and we've got a scenario where I had mentioned before, I was like, I think that the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Finals and the NXT Tag Team Championship triple threat match, it takes fucking forever to say how long this match is. I had thought that was going to go first, and that they would have the Undisputed Era retain, and then that would be the reason why we wouldn't get Adam Cole as the North American champion. So when they announced the North American Championship going first, I was like, oh, well, either that's their excuse for the Undisputed Era losing, or maybe that whole scenario that Callum had brought up with Dijak would pop up. And I started thinking about, like, well, who would win the title? And then I was like, maybe they do put it on Roderick Strong and Pete Dunne just for, a couple of weeks, and then they drop it to somebody else, and then it leads to something. Maybe it is Authors of Pain. And then I started to think, well, maybe Authors of Pain makes a lot of sense because they can be going in to their eventual main roster push with two-time champions, two-time Dusty Rhodes Cup winners. And if you've got Bludgeon Brothers on one side and you've got Braun Strowman and whoever, maybe Big Show or something like that, maybe the Authors of Pain aren't going up anytime soon because you don't want to have those two teams drop those tag titles. And I started really, really thinking that was going to happen. Well, lo and behold, fucking Robert pulling out a goddamn crystal ball out of his ass and going with Roderick Strong pulling a Ted DiBiase and or Cody Rhodes. Roderick Strong turns heel. He fucks over Pete Dunne, joins the Undisputed Era. And
I called it. I saw it coming. As soon as Callum said it, I said, wait a minute, I think we can go with Roderick Strong joining the Undisputed Era here. So good. I was so happy to finally see them get a spotlight for once, because I really think that since they came, they were really not spotlighted very well. And tonight, man, was awesome. They got the North American title, they got the tag title still, and now they have Roderick Strong. And I'm really excited to see where they go with this.
It was a very, very memorable finish to what was probably quite an average match. I mean, it was probably in another context pretty good, but by takeover standards, takeover sets like huge bars, far too high for most matches to reach.
They set the bar.
This was a bit too, I don't know, like forgettable, and that was mainly just due to like the start, and it was quite like awkward throughout, really. We didn't really know who was the legal men most of the time, and it seemed like it started as a tornado match, but then it like broke down into a regular tag team match.
Yeah, what was up with that? It started out with just everybody in the ring, and even Mauro Ranallo was just kind of like, what? And
Chaos.
then they decide that it's like, nope, you need to tag people in. And then, of course, every tag team match ends with, frenzy and stuff, but that was very kind of confusing. Jonathan, who writes for the website, for anybody who doesn't know, he commandeers the Triple Threat right now. He is at TakeOver. And he was messaging us. He's like, did the announcers explain why this isn't a tornado tag anymore? Like, no. You're as much in the dark as we are. I agree with you, though, Callum, about the idea that the quality of the tag team matches that we've been getting at takeovers have been better than this overall. And I don't think that people should take the twist as being like, oh, this was a great match because of the twist. It was fine, I liked the match and everything like that, but I wouldn't rank this as like one of those match of the year type things. The twist was amazing, though.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like it was a good match, nothing great. And if it had just been the way that it seemed like it was going to end with Pete Dunne getting the pin, obviously it would have been a good moment, but the match itself would have just been a bit like, okay, so this is the weakest match on the card. Whereas it's the thing that NXT TakeOver's managed to do is like even the bad matches they make memorable or make seem important.
Well, they were caught in an awkward spot because they didn't want to have the AOP look too weak, but they couldn't win because they're probably leaving. You had this weird thrown together Pete Dunne, Roderick Strong, and then you have Adam Cole, who is fresh out of a ladder match, and they put him through the table in the first 90 seconds. So it was just a weird in-between match for the show. I thought it was good for what it was, and the twist was amazing, so I was pleased with it.
You have to give a lot of credit to Kyle O'Reilly for essentially carrying that as a one-man team.
Very
his
good.
counters into submissions, his striking exchanges with Pete Dunne. He did some pretty cool stuff in this match, I think. Honestly, he needs to be, I think, definitely looked at as maybe the star of the match, to be honest. I thought he did a great job. And I did like the turn. I think that it's going to be something that people remember from the show. And it's interesting to see where Roderick Strong goes from here, because for a while he's just kind of been like that guy on the roster, not really doing too much or having much stuff going for him other than this Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. So now with him being a part of this faction, I just wonder where that means his career is going to go from here. Do you guys see the Undisputed Era kind of becoming even more of a focal point for NXT from this point forward, would you say?
Absolutely. They had the biggest spotlight of the show. I think the Undisputed Era might end up with a situation where they're like the workhorses of the show, and they might carry the majority of the championships around for a while, because I can see Roderick Strong getting another UK title match with Pete Dunne at Chicago.
Well, now we know that there's going to be another UK tournament, which they're kind of, sort of calling the King of the Ring, which I don't really know why that is happening.
No,
but okay.
That's not what they said.
They called it King of the Ring UK tournament.
You're kidding. I really thought that we were getting a King of the Ring for the WWE Superstars. Wow. Thanks for that letdown, Tony.
I'm assuming that they're going to call it King of the Ring, and then it'll be like, okay, well, that's going to issue us into, we have a show now called King of the Ring, and maybe do it like that kind of a thing, but
it's because the British people can only people that can get away with wearing a crown.
That's
in the wrestling thing.
Nobody told that to Mabel.
Well, they could bring back the glow one. The glow crown. I don't know if that's going to be a factor with Pete Dunne's title reign, but there's a possibility. I don't think that we're going to get a non-UK champion from the UK like anytime soon necessarily, though. But Roderick Strong turning heel, you should pretty much have some kind of a match with Pete Dunne. I could see a scenario where maybe they have a match and it's like it gets thrown out because the Undisputed Era are ringside and something happens and it's like Tyler Bate and Trent Seven interfere, and then we get, a week or so later from NXT, we get Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, and Trent Seven against Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole, and Roderick Strong. Like, they can play around with some different things like that. And Pete Dunne's obviously more of a babyface now than he's been before, so that's something to take note of. And Roderick Strong turning heel, man. I mean, that dude does not have a whole lot of personality he's been showing. And for him to turn heel is a massive upgrade. Because even if he doesn't have too much personality as a heel right now, he could play around with it a little bit, and he's not the one that's really going to be talking. It's Adam Cole. He just has to be the other guy that's filling in for Bobby Fish. And Fish might not be there for months. So they kind of needed somebody. Strong being on 205 Live, that was fun. He could still do it in the future. Maybe right now wouldn't have been the time for that, and maybe this is the best way to go. And I really like the idea that they did this turn the way that they did it, because that sold me on right now. It's the best turn of the year for me, heel or babyface. I think it was Callum had said you figured out a way that prevents the Authors of Pain from looking bad.
Yeah,
and Pete Dunne doesn't even look bad.
The crowd went crazy for that turn.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which maybe isn't the supposed good reaction because you wanted a heel turn to maybe get booed or whatever, but the fans were really digging the Undisputed Era on this show, and they loved the turn. They cheered. So
all the more reason to give somebody another thing to be happy about. If you get the fans to pop on something, it's the total opposite of what's going to happen in some parts for tomorrow. It's amazing the difference between NXT and the main roster, where there's no argument. NXT is the minor leagues, and that's okay, but they handle the crowd so much better than the main roster does. And if you look at a heel turn for Roderick Strong, where he turns on a beloved Pete Dunne, because people love Pete Dunne in the ring, and he gets cheered in a louder reaction than what we're going to get tomorrow night with Roman Reigns, who's supposed to be the top babyface that you're supposed to, if anybody is in the realm of being cheered, it should be him. Yet the guy who turns heel on another babyface gets a better reaction and stuff on the minor leagues. That's what's so crazy about that.
It's just the way things work with NXT. They've cultivated such a loyal and devoted fan base that they'll still cheer everything because they get excited by the moment still. And nobody saw, I mean, obviously Robert did with his crystal ball antics, but nobody really saw that finish coming, or if they did, it was kind of oh, it wouldn't be really cool if they did this, and they're not going to do this, but then they did do that, and that's why NXT's so cool. They do the things that you say, oh, they'll never do that. Oh my god, they actually did it.
We'll get to more of that in that main event.
Yeah, so we have the Dusty Cup goes to the Undisputed Era. The Undisputed Era is holding the North American Championship and the tag team titles. Even though they were down a member, they gained a new one. Really awesome way to do that. Match itself, not bad. So after that, we had what normally would have been the main event of the night, which was the NXT Championship match, but they read the crowd, they knew what the audience wanted, and they were like, look, it's the title, but we need to put that on unsanctioned match at the end. Smart move, I think. Andrade Cien Almas versus Aleister Black. Zelina Vega ringside doing her shtick. We had 3 Hurricanranas, I think.
Dude, somebody needs to powerbomb her. That needs to happen, man.
I'll one-up you. Lars Sullivan needs to powerbomb her.
Oh, that'd be so gross.
She played her part to a T, interfering here and there, distracting the referee and all that. Almas doing his part more so than even normal. This dude keeps improving, and he keeps proving himself to be, a little while ago when he came into NXT, might have been a year at this point or so.
No, it's been about a year and a half because he came, I think, in the May of 2016 TakeOver.
So he took a while before he actually got into the swing of things, because he first came out and he was wearing the Lou Bega type of outfit. pulling a fucking Mambo number 5 as his finisher. And he was just not hitting anything. Like, nobody was really caring. Now that he's got Zelina Vega, man, he's stepped up his game to where he doesn't need her, which is crazy. Although it's better if they stay together, that's the package deal.
He needs her. He still needs her. She cuts the promos, I think.
But even in the ring, though, I mean, like, he wasn't even all that special in the ring at first.
But now he's firing on all cylinders. Like, now he's a guy that when he has a big match, he's a guy you have to pay attention to now because he can really perform.
Yeah, I thought that Gargano match, I was like, you know what, maybe that was just Gargano. But no, he had a great fucking match with Aleister Black here. And I thought it was really cool that he started it off with the mask on, too. Like, the very beginning of the night, just taking that and, throwing that off and whatever. That was a nice little kind of reference. I think it was Frankie had said, like, what was that for? And I was like, I don't know. Got me to kind of be like, neat. So I was like,
well, no, he did
neat.
that at in Philadelphia as well. That's his La Sombra mask, isn't it?
Yeah, that's he used to wrestle under a mask in Mexico. So it was one of the main things that people were a bit surprised about when he joined NXT was that he had to take off the mask immediately.
They're like, can you sign this paper? And they're like, all right, he signs it. What's his real name? Do you know?
Oh, real name? No, I can't be asked Wikipedia right now. So.
Whatever his name is, let's just say it's Andrade Cien Almas. He's like, signs, it's like ALMAS, and they're like, take it off. And he's just like,
well, no, Triple H was like, I don't know why he would want to hide his face. He's a good looking dude. Take off the mask.
He is Manuel Alfonso Andrade Oropeza.
Of course he is.
Which I'm sure was pronounced horribly because I am a painfully white guy.
And his name is Inigo Montoya somewhere as well, yeah.
He once went by Brillante Jr. or Brillante? I don't know.
Brillante.
Yeah, that. El Santo wrestled. No, this was a great match, though, and it was one of those ones where you could fault them a little bit to be like, well, it's a little predictable. But predictable doesn't mean bad. It just means that maybe something was the right thing to do, and everybody saw it coming, and they didn't want to do something that was a shock for the sake of a shock. And I am one of those people, I will take predictable and good 1,000 times over shocking and not good. So I loved it.
The story perfectly with Zelina Vega interfering one too many times and actually kind of costing Almas the match because of it.
And Aleister Black being able to circumvent that, hit the black mass at the end. Nice way for the crowd to just be like, all right, crap, it's over, like that kind of thing. I liked it.
I thought it was a great finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought
she went for a cross body and Almas caught her, and it kind of played into really the end because he caught her, it distracted him for a brief moment, then he got hit with the black mass, and then that was it. And the guys, I thought, really clicked together. There is, Almas, he can work. He's really proving he can work. And this is one match where, do you guys think he's headed to the main roster? Or do you think he's still got some time to shine in NXT? Or do you think he's
headed
kind of
to SmackDown? He's going to be headed to SmackDown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards SmackDown.
Yeah, I think this was his curtain call. I think the Royal Rumble appearance earlier in the year was kind of like his test, and then this is like the final hurdle for him.
It wouldn't shock me at all if he doesn't show up on Monday or Tuesday, but I think that people are going to be a little bit disappointed. I don't know about, this is something we can get into a little bit tomorrow night, and obviously then it'll be Monday and Tuesday, but I think that we need to kind of curb our expectations about Monday and Tuesday a little bit, because if they are going to do this superstar shakeup thing, that's potentially going to happen either the Monday and Tuesday
after the Greatest Royal Rumble.
See, I don't know, because this is weird. They could do this on Monday or Tuesday or both, because they've done that in the past where it's like, and our draft is going to be like, these people just show up on SmackDown on Tuesday and stuff. I didn't like that at all, and I really hope that they don't. But we have the Greatest Royal Rumble coming up on April 27th, and we've got Backlash coming up on May 6th. I'm not looking as like, 2 weeks from now we're going to get a draft. I think that they might wait until Backlash. And if that's the case, I think we're going to see somebody like Almas, who's going to stick around in NXT for the next set of tapings a little bit. And then we could see him pop up on Backlash. But I do think he's coming up. I think that what is there really left for him to do? Is he going to win the title again? No, we've already had people win the title twice. He doesn't need to. He's not going to go down and win the North American title. He's not going to team up with anybody win the tag. So he either sticks around and they kind of waste him a little bit, or he moves up. And if you're going to move up anywhere, SmackDown seems like a better place for him. It's the wrestling show more so. Then again, if you switch around a whole bunch of people, maybe Raw ends up needing it more. It's all, you try to do a balancing act and stuff. But he proved himself in this match, I think, and the match with Gargano, where at this point, all right, it wasn't just Gargano. Almas knows how to work as well. He worked well with both of those guys, and he had he had his match with Drew McIntyre, and McIntyre, something this is to think about too. On the pre-show, McIntyre was saying it didn't matter if it was Almas or Black, he was still going to go after Almas. I'm not too sure how much you would rank this as far as like betting goes, but I think that McIntyre's on his way up to the main roster again too. And I would not be shocked at all if we see Andrade Cien Almas come up to the main roster very, very soon, Backlash being like at the latest, and McIntyre to just jump him immediately. And it'd just be start the feud back again on a different program,
Have they ever done that before? Have they ever taken an NXT storyline and progressed it right to the main roster?
I don't think so. Not even like Sasha and Bayley.
What about Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn? Does that count?
Not quite, because Sammy...
They were forced into that with the injury.
Yeah, that was a little bit like... Sammy kind of popped up, and then Owens popped up, and then they were... Once they were both on the roster, then it became a thing, but they both did stuff without each other a little bit. Mostly John Cena, which is weird. Yeah, because Sami Zayn had that match against John Cena. Kevin Owens had the Open Challenge match. Yeah, I don't know about any other ones that would have happened like that. Samoa Joe didn't. Finn Balor didn't.
It's just a great thing to see that Almas, because it's such a a change from when these two first face each other in NXT. 'Cause obviously, Almas was Black's first match in NXT, like about a year or so back, and at that point in time, people were thinking that Almas wasn't even going to get out of NXT, let alone like make an impact on the main roster. Thought that he was like pretty much washed up and just he'd fit into the Tyler Breeze spot of, this is the guy that you beat on your first night in NXT. And then he was able to rise up to become the champion, and their match here was infinitely better than their first match. And even that first match was good as well. But it was just a sign of like it wasn't a case of like Black going on the ascendancy and Almas was the guy that was coming down. Now they were just two people that are both on the ascendancy, but just in different ways at the moment.
Kind of piggybacking off of something we had talked about before about who should be the next women's champion. Who do you guys want to beat Black? Because we have now Roderick Strong as a heel. Adam Cole is basically the mid-card champion. We got Killian Dain, Lars Sullivan, EC3, Velveteen Dream. Technically speaking, you could do a babyface thing. We got, Gargano and Ricochet and other people in the mix there. We got Tommaso Ciampa. Plenty of other people that can come up, too. People that can come in from other outside sources and stuff. Tag team members that can, somebody like a Tino Sabatelli can get some random ass push or something like that. There's a lot of options for who can beat him.
I'm going to go with Caesar Banani. No, but seriously.
Scissors Banana?
If not Gargano, then Lars Sullivan.
Yeah, I'm going for Lars at the moment. I think Lars or Strong makes the most sense to me at the moment.
That's a tough question. But yeah, I guess you gotta go with Lars, right? Because he's kind of like the big monster heel of NXT, and he would probably be seen as somebody who's like a threat of sorts to Black's championship reign. Like he would I don't know if you position him as the underdog because he's kind of known for winning, but in a situation to maybe put some doubt into if he's going to win or not, having him face a big guy like Sullivan would definitely do that, I think. So I got to go with him.
Screw logic. I'm going EC3.
Yeah, I was going to say he's hanging around as well.
Yeah, I thought about him too. There's a lot of people.
I'd love to see an EC3 feud where it's about the whole he's the top 1%, and Aleister Black's all like, oh, I got tattoos and I'm like angry at the world and stuff. And EC3 could be like, you're gross, dude. And that kind of a thing. Like, I think that'd be kind of funny. The guy who like fights for the groundy underground type of thing against the dude who's hoity-toity and kind of pristine, and I'd like to see a little feud like that. Lars Sullivan, though, he proved himself more in this match that they had earlier in the night. I wouldn't be too opposed to that. Oh, and shout out to whoever it was. I can't remember who said it in the Mega Maniacs chat, but somebody was like, "Man, I'm really waiting for them to just say Lars Sullivan is Georgie Animal Steel's son."
Yeah.
Like, damn, they do look a lot alike. I don't remember if it was Frankie or if it was.
Look. He looks so old school. I love it.
Does anybody know if he's got a fucked up leg or anything, or if he's just wearing that, like, for the hell of it, kind of?
I think he probably did have a knee injury previously. I haven't heard anything in particular, but there must be a reason why he's wearing it other than just to wear it.
Hopefully that doesn't bite him in the ass. Like it did with Tommaso Ciampa. Now there's a fucking segue.
That was a very good segue.
I didn't plan on it. It just happened. The unsanctioned match was the main event of the night. Johnny Gargano fighting for his job back in NXT against Tommaso Ciampa. We were brothers and now we're not, and we were fighting each other and all that. And god damn, this was a good match.
Hold on, let's all pretend we're Dave Meltzer for a second. What are we rating this match?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me if I had some kind of backstage scoop that I could later on say that plans have changed. If we're gonna go with like kind of a 5-star rating thing, I mean, I think a little bit of the IWC and everybody, they kind of go like, no, you can't give 5 stars to everything because 5 stars can only be for like this Japanese match and whatever. Like, I think this is as textbook perfect of a type of match as you can ask for in WWE. I'd give it a 5 out of 5.
I'll probably be that guy then, being slightly cynical about it. There's certain times in matches where I watch it and think you're doing too much, and it's getting a little bit like, okay, so you're practically gonna have to take a gun out and shoot this guy if you're gonna get a pinfall out of it. And that kind of takes me out of it a little bit. So like the Almas and Gargano match, I thought was 5 stars, and it was like perfectly understandable. Like, oh, he lost because of this type of thing. This time, like you just throw so many moves that in any other match would win it easily. And it's just like, okay, just because it's an unsanctioned blood feud, like it, as an epic tale, it makes like a perfect sense to end it that way. But it just takes me out of like the little bit of the realism with it. So that's why I'd drop it down a little bit. But it was still an absolutely epic match.
I'm going 4 3/4 stars only because they dragged it out just a little bit too long. There's a couple of spots where I thought, wow, that's perfect. And they kept going. Not that I hated the finish. I loved what they did. I just thought it dragged out a little bit too long. But man, that match was about as good as you're going to see this year. Ugh.
Trying to see if anybody has like the times for that. It was 37 minutes and 6 seconds. The first match of the night was 31 minutes and 24. So
it was a long match. Taking a power bomb on concrete though, that's gotta give it a star.
That was sick. Like that was hard. Like anything else to happen tonight, even in the ladder match, anything like that was the hardest thing I had to watch. Like just seeing his, like, what was that? And there was also the suplex off the announce table,
which is awesome.
Their heads bounced off the mat. You could just see like how hard of a landing that was.
It's funny, but my instant reaction was, I'm surprised I've never seen anybody even attempt that. What they did so much in this match, and it was well deserved, and they deserved the main event. One thing we haven't touched on is Ciampa came out to silence, no music. He had a Titantron, which I thought was a little weird that he had a Titantron but no music. But the fans were playing their role perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck you,
They
Ciampa.
hated him. He was so hated.
he instantly became the top heel, essentially. Like, he's the only heel right now that gets the reaction he should be getting.
Yeah, exactly. They had "fuck you, Ciampa" chants. They had "fuck 'em up, Johnny." The old school asshole chants just raining down. So good, man.
And you can tell that he's just relishing in this role. Like,
Yeah.
he's really digging it. And he's playing his part perfectly, I must say. I think him coming out to no music and just to thunderous boos was really quite the way to cement his entrance and to kind of give a little bit of extra to make him stand out, essentially. Like, he didn't need music. And the crowd, wow, just what a response.
Such a good reaction, too, like, in the sense of, you've got the NXT crowd can be a little bit more on, like, the Mark kind of side of things, and you also got that they could be a little bit more on the Smark kind of side of things. And sometimes it's really goddamn frustrating when you're watching a WWE event, and you've got the crowd, and they're chanting, you know, JBL,
Randy
JBL,
Savage,
yeah, Byron Saxton, and whatever like that, just because they think that it's going to be funny to be like, oh, aren't we, like, cool, whatever. It's like, yeah, it was cool the first fucking time that a crowd did it years and years and years ago. You're not doing anything fucking different. Shut up.
Especially this weekend. Can we talk about that? This weekend of all weekends, to have a genuine heel reaction, I was very happy with that.
In a crowd that is the smarkiest type of crowd, unless they would have been, you know, in an area like a Chicago or a Philly or something like that. You know, next year, WrestleMania, MetLife, and all that.
It's going to be obnoxious.
It's going to be obnoxious as fuck. But I'll be there and I'll be fucking loving it. Unless they fuck up the hot dogs and stuff again. It was so refreshing, though, to just see the crowd do what they were supposed to do and to buy into it in a level where if you were to show this one in particular, to somebody who's never watched wrestling before, I can't imagine that they wouldn't at least be more interested in it than they were before. Nothing on this card was so wacky, weird,
Or
and
bad.
like stupid or anything. You had the NXT ladder match where it's just, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Oh, there's this big dude. Oh, he just did this. Oh, there's this flippy dude. Oh, he just did this. Oh, that's pretty cool, man. Then you have the women and it's like, oh, these women are kicking each other's ass. They're not just like daintily pulling each other's hair and stuff like what they used to do. Then you get the tag team thing and you're like, wait a minute, did the one fucking dude turn on his tag team partner? That's kind of crazy. The Aleister Black thing, you're like, oh, this match is just textbook really fucking good. And then you get this unsanctioned match and you're like, all right, this is the soap opera stuff, but it ends up killing it. And you started off with the crowd proving that it's like, all right, we know it's a circus, but we're buying into it and we're just going to have fun. They booed the shit out of Tommaso Ciampa. And it was so weird to hear that coming out and then a giant pop for Gargano with music. Because I was thinking that maybe it was going to be like both of them don't have music because it's unsanctioned or something like that. But
yeah, I did think about that.
Yeah.
Instead, it was just kind of like, or it's just like, oh yeah, fuck, you know, I like this dude. He's the happy dude. I like him. Like that kind of a thing. And it was like, you know, if you show this to somebody who's not watched wrestling anymore, or they watch, you know, nothing of it and they don't really know what it is and stuff, you're just kind of like, oh, the angry looking guy, he's the bad guy, he's getting booed and they're chanting fuck you and whatever. Then here's the guy with the happy music and whatever. Oh, he's the good guy, I should cheer for him. You know?
Yeah, the chants, like, in general were just pretty amazing. Like, when he hit the concrete off the powerbomb, you get the "you deserve it" chant, which is the only time which is one of the rare times I'm actually okay with that chant being used. And then the when Gargano threw Ciampa over in the announce table, they started chanting "Mamma Mia" as well. So the crowd played their role perfectly in this thing. Like you say, like on occasion they have want to like hijack a match. But this was the perfect example of them.
It's kind of weird though how he breaks the crutch. He has Tommaso Ciampa dead to rights, and he just kind of stalls and doesn't do anything for a little bit. Did anybody kind of
man? He was having second thoughts. He loved Tommaso Ciampa. They were best friends, DIY. They did this thing together, and he was having second thoughts about pulling the trigger. And then Tommaso tried to swerve him, and he said, "Not today, bitch." I loved it. I thought it was perfect.
It was also a reference to the Cruiserweight Classic match because Ciampa had a spot where he was going to be able to take out Gargano, and he stopped for a second, and he ended up losing. So that it was like, was Ciampa going to capitalize and win because Gargano's making the same mistake, that kind of a thing? Like, I think that Gargano, maybe Ciampa in the mix of this too, I don't know, but Gargano kind of proved in this a little bit too, that he seems to really understand storytelling.
Oh,
And
hell yeah.
not
I
only
don't
is
think
he good with...
sells like Johnny Gargano does either. He's just kind of on another level, man.
He sells so well. He books the match really well, as far as like even like that. Like I would never remember that, but they mentioned the Cruiserweight Classic thing, and then I was like, oh fuck yeah, that is true. And by the end of this match, I'm like, all right, well, Johnny Gargano's the next Daniel Bryan. Like that's sealed. You know, he's over with the crowd. He does everything like he fucking should, better than a lot of other people really necessarily should, even at that point. And you kind of wish that if you could put like Gargano's talent and brain into a guy that WWE pushes more, you know, the size of somebody like a Titus O'Neil or something like that, and be like, man, how many times does this dude win a world championship? Like, I've been on the train of Gargano going to 205 Live for a long time, and this match made me go, nah, they can't.
Exactly.
He's bigger than 205 Live, yeah.
He really is. And I thought maybe it would be a good thing for him to like boost 205 Live, but he needs to be on Raw or SmackDown. SmackDown more so, I think.
And so does Ciampa as well.
Yeah, he really does, because he is obviously an equal part of this equation. You know, you can't have a good match with nothing. I love the finish of the knee brace stuff too. Like,
yeah, the knee brace smack to the knee. I was like, ugh. This is the match that got a lot of audible reactions from me, and I've been watching for way too long, and that doesn't really happen a lot. But I got invested with the whole, you know, he stalled with the crutch, and I was like, no, you gotta finish it, because I'm gonna feel like shit if you lose. Like, come on. And they really... Perfect storytelling.
Not to try and drag things down after you obviously calling it a perfect match, but
you hated it.
My one my one pet peeve, other than the fact that I thought it went on a bit too long and they were just kicking out of everything, it was the fact that they wore wrestling gear to the match. Especially Ciampa's was riding up quite high on his. It was quite tight fit, his trunks, if you could even call them trunks.
I bet
So
that was intentional.
Yeah, it's just a bit like it's an unsanctioned match. Like I remember, the last unsanctioned match I can really recall is like the Jericho. And Michaels Jericho, or the Michaels and Triple H matches and stuff like that. And obviously
Triple H wore gear to that match,
and so did Jericho. The only one that didn't was Shawn.
Yeah,
so it's just like, I don't want to fucking wear this shit.
Yeah, it's just when I always hear the thing like either like an unsanctioned match or street fight, I think, well, this should be a match that should be taking place in like streetwear or something along the lines of. It just felt like, oh, this is just a real match, but you're just being a little bit more aggressive. So that was
the last two that I knew to wear like street clothes to a street fight were Jericho and Punk at Extreme Rules.
Yeah, and I think that added to that sort of match. It made it feel like it was more gritty.
Well, everybody knows my opinions about having 1,000 names for a no DQ match, and if you were to tell me a street fight has to always be in street clothes, I'd like it a lot better. And if Extreme Rules had to be only at Extreme Rules, or, you know, any of that kind of thing, you know, this is a no holds barred, no DQ, false count anywhere, but not anywhere, Extreme Rules, blah, 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 you know, Belfast Brawl type of crap.
Yeah, but obviously
it was just a no DQ match, but it was like,
but it was a good no DQ match.
Yeah, like it felt more personal. They did a good job selling that.
Yeah, my bits and pieces are just like nitpicks about this stuff. It's obviously nothing that takes away from the story they were telling, which was like, this was some of the best storytelling you'll ever see in a WWE match.
Yeah, for that matter, if anybody is like, you know, on YouTube or something like that, or in the comments section below or something like that, if anybody's just kind of like, the thing I didn't like was you were wearing the gear and I didn't buy into that 4 out of 10, like that kind of thing, that it would be like, oh, for fuck's sake. Like, nitpicking's like, yeah, nitpicking's fine, you know. It would have made sense to do a street fight kind of like thing like that, but it's like
it drops my thing from a 10 to a 9.9.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the difference maker. And I really hate that there are some fans that do that kind of shit though, where they'll just kind of be like, when he was supposed to hit him with the crutch, he was doing it with his left hand, and we've established that Gargano is a right-handed person, so they didn't call out the southpaw, and that means that the continuity was shattered, and the whole thing's garbage, and I hate TakeOver, and like, I hate that kind of shit so much.
One thing I
this
did
was
like in the
great, though.
match was, even though it was unsanctioned, no DQ, they didn't use typical, like, there's no kendo sticks, there's no, here's a table. They used what they had around them. They even had a fan on crutches just to get the excuse for crutches,
I loved that he takes it from the fan, the quote unquote fan, and then security ushers the fan away. So, if you're supposed to buy into this,
safety, man.
well, if you're supposed to buy into it as being like, like, oh man, he just stole this off of like this poor person in the crowd, then it's like, dude, poor person just also got ejected. They got a front row fucking seat, and it's like, yeah, I'm sorry, dude, you don't have your crutches anymore, but can we like force you to not be able to see the match either? That's kind of like saying, I don't know, like, who was it that got? Was it like the car door that Lesnar threw or something? Somebody got hurt a bunch of years ago. Like for that person, the would be like, "Oh shit, you weren't supposed to get hit by that. Can we give you some T-shirts? And also, can you get the fuck out?" We would have been like, "Wait, what? Yeah, we don't want you around. It's a real bummer that you got hurt." Like, that's so great. I loved that so much. Just steal the crutches from somebody from the crowd and whatever. It would have been so much better if it would have been a real person too. Well, it was a real person. He's not a goddamn hologram, but you know what I mean? Like if that would have just been some actual dude in the crowd, and it's just kind of like, hey, fuck you, Charlie, or whatever. It's, excuse me, I wanted to be a part of the show, but not this way. I kind of need those.
Great show, right?
Such a great show. Great way to end it, too. Candice LeRae coming out there, celebrating with Johnny Gargano. It helps her in the future, helps him in the future. Ciampa at this point, he is looking like the top heel in NXT. So he's got a lot of momentum. If they want to do Ciampa versus Aleister Black at Chicago, they've got the momentum for that. Gargano can fight for the North American title if they want to do that. There's so many different ways that they can go here. And this just... The worst part of the night, in my mind, were the things that weren't even a factor. It was just musical performances. So if that's the worst part, massive fucking thumbs up.
Huge thumbs up. I would argue that it's, at this point in the year, definitely a candidate for the best major show, would you say, so far?
Definitely.
I would.
WrestleMania has its work cut out for it.
And here's the thing. WrestleMania is going to be 5 hours. And that's going to be a lot more what Tony was saying he didn't like. That's going to be a lot of spectacle and, performance. And, hey, look at us. We're showmanship. And that I'm kind of dreading because we just saw a great wrestling show. And I want that to carry over into Mania.
I'm cool with that if they don't do stupid things. Like, for the most part, and this sounds so like, well, no shit, but for some reason I have to specify it a lot when people want to clarify things and stuff. I'm up for anything as long as it's good. And if you're the type of person who is always like, well, that's the same thing and I wanted change and, the change is like better because it's just change, that kind of a thing or something like that. Even when it comes to spectacle versus in-ring stuff, if you give me good spectacle, I might like that more than good in-ring stuff. But if you give me spectacle for the sake of spectacle and it's dumb, it's so much worse than a wrestling match that wasn't even necessarily bad. Then we get into the category of like, wow, this is the worst segment of the year, instead of just, that match wasn't all that good, So if tomorrow it's supposed to be this whole like, well, isn't it fantastic that we've got like the big surprise of Braun Strowman's partner is that it's trying to think of something that they would do that I would really hate.
The big
Alberto Del Rio.
Oh God, if it's fucking Alberto Del Rio, then I'll just be like, no, fuck. Oh my God, I'm going to eat like so much more pizza just because I'm like, angry now, like that kind of a thing. But you give me good spectacle, I'm gonna love it. And if that's the difference maker between the two, if it's gonna be like TakeOver is our really good wrestling show and WrestleMania is a really good spectacle show, but they're on par with each other. If tomorrow's spectacle is as good as tonight's in-ring action is, tomorrow will kick ass.
Oh yeah. It's hard to say because of just how consistently high standard NXT TakeOver events are. But this has got to be in the top like 3 TakeOver events of all time. Just from the top like the opening match and the main event were 2 of the best matches in NXT history, and everything in between it like ranged from good to great. So even if the bits in between were kind of like drowned out by how good the other 2 matches were, it still has to go down as like an overall event, an overall package, just like way, way up there, which is like high praise because, like I said, NXT just delivers constantly.
I really hope that if they do end up getting picked up by Fox, that the NXT product doesn't suffer in quality. You know what I mean? Because then it becomes, oh, we got a TV show to do for Fox. Now it has to be even better. And it turns into like a mini Raw. And I don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
I love what NXT is. And I would like it to stay that way.
Any other last thoughts from anybody?
Real quick question. It's mostly directed at you, Tony, because you were watching during the In Your House days. Do you like the TakeOver name? Like TakeOver : whatever area it is? Or would you rather it be like whatever, more so based on the actual program they're promoting, like Good Friends, Better Enemies?
It's weird. I like it and I don't. Like, I don't like the idea that I can't remember what anything is. So it's hard to be like, oh, that really good match with Almas and Gargano that took place. Then I'm like, Philly, like that kind of a thing. Like it's hard to do that. If it would have been something like, man, that happened at, I hate this name, but like at Vengeance, then it would be like, all right, yeah, Vengeance. I remember the logo around there. Like that's easier. But I don't like those type of names where it's just, all right, it's Armageddon, Vengeance, Judgment Day. It's just, these are things that sound rough, you know?
Well,
so,
no, that's why I'm saying more so like they used to do the In Your Houses, like when it was, in Canada, they did the Canadian Stampede.
Oh, so kind of like how it was like TakeOver the End?
Yeah.
Like TakeOver Rival, that kind of thing?
TakeOver War Games, TakeOver Rival,
Huh. I think in that scenario, TakeOver doesn't make any sense. Because who are you taking over? You're taking over Rival? Like that kind of thing? So if they called it like NXT such and such, then sure. But I kind of like the idea that it's just NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4 and stuff. Like, that's something different a little bit. So I kind of like that. I do miss In Your House, though. I really wish that they would, like, they have something on the WWE Network that they could call In Your House. And bring back that old theme, too.
Oh, yes.
In Your House. That kind of thing. Yeah, all right. Well, that's it for NXT TakeOver New Orleans. Great fucking show, as we've been saying.
Fantastic.
I'm sure everybody else dropping their comments below as well and telling us the things that they really enjoyed. Make sure that when you're doing that as well, you give us your thoughts on where you'd like to see these titles go in the future. Like, who do you want to be the next North American champion? And for that matter, if you haven't seen anything with the title, what do you think about the title design? I don't like it, but I'm part of the minority. And anything else you guys want to toss them out in the comments below. Make sure that you also hit that subscribe button as well, and you ring that bell for notifications, because this is not the only Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of the show that we've got this week. Obviously, we've got a post-show tomorrow night when we're all dead tired, and it'll be a 9-hour goddamn episode of WrestleMania, but it'll be WrestleMania 34, so we'll at least somewhat pumped for that. And if it sucks, we'll really ram it, and if it's awesome, then we'll talk about how great that is too. But that's coming
Tony,
up.
You mean we're not doing a pregame show at 3 o'clock?
For Mania?
Yeah.
I thought about doing pre-shows in the past. Nah. Not happening.
WWE had taken that attitude that you took.
They really should have. Same thing for their post-shows, Who watches Talking Smack and stuff anymore? It used to be so good. You do the post-show things of those, and So, John, you lost, huh? Yep, I lost, but tomorrow night I'll act like I didn't. Kind of a thing. That's coming, though, everybody, of course. And if you are on iTunes and Stitcher, then the other way that you guys can follow what is happening as far as activity on these things is to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at SmarkOutMoment. Obviously, if you're not checking SmarkOutMoment.com itself for everything else that's happening there, I don't know what you're doing, because this whole thing is based off of SmarkOutMoment.com. That's kind of the point. Last thing to do, though, is to go around the horn here and give everybody else a little bit of time to plug anything that they want to plug. Callum, you're up first.
Well, you can follow me on Twitter at Wigmeister14.
Robert?
All right, follow me everywhere at Dude Felice. Follow my apparel line, timekillerapparel.com. If you're at WrestleCon, go see James Storm and Just Incredible with Masters of Ring Entertainment. I'm doing some work with them. So, if you're there, go see them. They'll be there at least until 3 o'clock tomorrow, right before Mania. Go enjoy yourself. We'll be here tomorrow.
Braden?
And it'd be wonderful if anybody who's listening to this could follow me at Twitter. That is at Spoodbeast. For spelling clarification, that is SPOODBEEST. So no, I use the old double E for the beast, not EA, as some people might have it misspelled. Maybe Tony will clarify that in the description or whatever. But yeah, that'd be cool.
Spood Beast Incarnate. Obviously, I'm at Tony Mango all over the place, and Fanboys Anonymous is another thing to mention for anybody else that's interested in the movie reviews and stuff like that. No idea what is happening on the next thing that I'm doing for that, because this is WrestleMania week. That's domineering everything. Next week, we'll talk about some Fanboy stuff, maybe. I don't know. Actually, yeah, because I'm probably going to see Rampage, because that seems like the type of movie that I can just shut my brain off and just shove popcorn in my face and be like, go fucking beat him up, Rock, like that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, and they showed the trailer.
Oh, Christ. Oh, God. I already blocked it out. Yeah, never mind about the musical performances. The worst part of the night was this stupid-ass Paige thing, because she looks awful, and that movie looks just as bad. So you're going to hear me bitch about it tomorrow, because I'm sure they're going to show it like 3 or 4 more fucking times tomorrow. But that'll be tomorrow. So we will see you then, everybody. Tune in for that. We will talk to you when we talk to you. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.